This is AusetGypsy, the podcast show.
Well, this is a special edition of AusetGypsy, the podcast show. We are on the scene. Where are we, B?
You better know where we are. We are at the Gallows Hill Spirit Company.
Yep.
I looked at it many times, especially because I needed to make sure I had the right directions.
What town are we in?
Allentown.
Oh, there we are. Okay.
And we're really excited to be able to talk to the owner, who we're going to pick his brain because he has a very interesting history. So this isn't just another place to come and get a fabulous drink. Yes, I will admit, I am on my
Although we
second
are having fabulous drinks.
fabulous espresso martini, so come enjoy. But there's some interesting history behind this place. So we are here with the owner, and we're going to pick his brain. So tell us your name, my friend.
I'm Bob Piano, and I'm the owner of Gallows Hill Spirits.
So tell us, why exactly did you open up this place?
Twofold. First off was because I had a love of spirits, and I wanted to create something.
What kind of spirits?
The kind you're imbibing right now.
Oh, which the kind I'm imbibing on right now is rum, chai.
That's our rum chai cocktail. It is our Titubas silver rum along with our Passat chai.
Well, I love your spirits here as well, too, because these are two of my favorite things, rum and chai.
With that being said, notice there's a little bit of historical names in some of these drinks, and we will get into the reason for that as we get to discuss this more with Bob. So please go ahead, tell us some of your history.
So the other part of the why I opened the place up is because of my family history. The reason we're named Gallows Hill Spirits is because the last person executed during the witch trials was Samuel Wardwell. And Samuel Wardwell is my 8 times great-grandfather.
So it's very interesting, and please come here, enjoy the drinks, but also look at the timeline that's on the wall. I actually took a picture of it, put it on Instagram. Okay, shameless plug, look at it, but I am absolutely fascinated by this. So tell us a little bit more about the timeline.
So, Samuel was, first off, my family got here in 1635 on a boat called the Fury. Samuel was actually born here in Boston. He grew up in Boston, and then when he became of age, he moved to Andover. He was a carpenter by trade, and while living in Andover, he met his future wife. They married. She was actually a wealthy widow. So she had some status and some property. He did not. He was a carpenter and a commoner by law. So he did not own any property at all. So when they came together and started the relationship, the rumors around town were this was a real problem because he was a commoner and she was a landowner. That meant they were of 2 distinctly different classes. So once they got married, though, the property transfers from his wife to Samuel himself. And what that does is that elevates his status. So he's no longer a commoner, now he's a landowner. And because of that, that put a target on his back. Because as people got jealous of him changing status like that, because according to the people of the time, the only way to change your status like that, your stars, is to sign a pact with the devil. So when the sheriff comes to town looking for people who've consorted with the devil, everyone's pointing at Samuel as the latest witch in town.
And
that must have been some great stories going around.
Well, and that's really interesting because if anyone does any historical review of the Salem witch trials, in reality, a lot of the people that were targeted was because they had money, because they had status, and there was a lot of jealousy.
Correct.
And that's why these people were targeted.
Absolutely.
So it sounds like in this historical perspective, that's why he was targeted.
Correct.
But we're sure he didn't cavort with the devil.
This is not absolutely sure.
Ooh,
the reason for that is
I like the story even more now.
Samuel's nickname was the soothsayer of Andover, which meant he tells people's fortunes, which is not something you want to do in Puritan
No, not at all.
colonies. So he becomes known as the soothsayer of Andover. He once tells a neighbor of his, "You're going to have 5 daughters before your wife bears you a son." Well,
How did you
guess
know
what?
this?
All I can say is that those are the gifts that he understood and
Okay.
believed.
Very cool.
So during his trial, that person and his 5 daughters and son
Wow.
showed up at the trial and testified against Samuel, stating that Samuel was able to tell him about each of his children long before they were born, which didn't help Samuel's case any.
Not at all.
No.
Oh, the visionless, how they hate those with a vision.
Exactly. So that makes him not necessarily innocent of what he was accused of, but not necessarily guilty either.
Right. So that's interesting because it seems in this case, not only did he have the riches that would put him in the place of jealousy, but he's now also exhibiting
Correct.
the gifts of witchcraft, which kind of puts him in between the accusatory status of maybe perhaps he is a witch.
Could very well be.
Well, we should summon him and find out. Who's got their Ouija board? That's fantastic. So but this is Andover,
Massachusetts. Yes,
Okay.
it's about 8 miles outside of Salem.
Right. Oh, I do know where it is. Yeah, no, I have a good friend who lives up in Salem, and Salem proper, not the little touristy area now. Danvers.
Danvers is what Salem Village was.
Yeah, exactly.
So Salem Village changed its name to Danvers to get away from the witch trial.
Yeah.
Hysteria.
So now, because he has all this damning evidence, it sounds like obviously he's now found guilty.
He is. He's found guilty and convicted. Let's see, he was arrested on September 1st. He was executed on September 22nd.
How old was he?
At the time, 50 or 40, I want to say 47. I'd have to check the wall to be sure.
Oh, jeez. You made it that far.
This place is called Gallows Hills. So was he then found guilty and executed at Gallows Hills? Because I know just recently the area of Gallows Hills was just recently found up in the Massachusetts area.
Correct. Gallows Hill, everyone knew where it was, but no one knew exactly where the executions took place. Well, there had been some work that's been done since the 70s trying to triangulate all of the viewpoints that they knew historically. So the people that had written down testimony about, I was able to witness the executions from my front porch. Okay, well, we know where their front porch was because we know where the houses were based on surveys and plot drawings of the town. So it was just a matter of people putting all this back together and then trying to redraw the landscape after 200 years to kind of get back to, okay, what's going on here? We're actually 325 years past now. So they found Gallows Hill. Everyone knew what Gallows Hill was. So if you go up to go visit, Gallows Hill Park sits at the very top of Gallows Hill. That's the only reason it's called Gallows Hill Park. Most people mistakenly go up there and believe that that's where the executions took place. But they actually took place a block downhill from the park at a piece of property called Proctor's Ledge. That's where the executions took place. And in 2017, they built a memorial there to the people executed. And it's a semicircular wall, stands about 4 feet tall, and it's got 20 stones set into the wall, one for each person executed during the trials. And they're actually in the order of execution. So the first stone in the wall is going to be Bridget Bishop's. You'll work your way around all the way through in order, with the very last stone being Samuel Wardwell's.
So how did you find out that this is someone who is a descendant of your family?
This was not something that I knew growing up. There was a task that Mom said to me back in 2006. She said that one of the family stories that she had heard growing up was that we had two relatives come over on the Mayflower. Mom wanted to know whether she was part of the Mayflower family, so she asked me to go back and do the research. Well, I found the two individuals, and though they're from different areas in the family, there are two passengers on the Mayflower. The problem here is, in order to be part of the Mayflower family, you have to be descended from a passenger. We're related to two passengers, but we're not descended from either because they're both uncles.
Oh.
So, at the same time I noticed that, I saw that the family went right through the Salem and Andover area, and that's when I started poking around. I said, well, let's take a look at the witch trial victims to see if anything pops there. I did, and when I saw Samuel's name come up on the list of the executed, then it was a matter of me trying to tie that to the Samuel that was in my family tree. I find out that they're both born in Boston in 1643. They're both married to a woman named Sarah, but Sarah's a very common name at the time of the trials. They both have 7 children. Okay, we're getting closer. I've got a list of the children from this one source that goes along with the executions. I've also gotten the family tree, which has all 7 names in it as well. Well, all 7 names match, which is a good thing. The bad thing is some of the birth orders are slightly different. So I'm still not 100% sure it's the same person. It wasn't until I happened to notice his death date in the family tree, and that date was September 22nd, 1692.
Wow.
That date ties exactly with the last day of the executions. So that's how I finally tied the two of them together.
So when you found out that this, in fact, is your relative, what were you thinking?
For me, it was shock, and I couldn't wait to tell my mother about it. My mother's always had a witchy side to her. She's always gone after educating herself in those ways, and I knew that she'd be happy with this. Now, when I first called her, I didn't tell her anything about it. I just simply told her that we were not part of the Mayflower family. So, of course, she's disappointed. And then I told her the rest of the story, letting her know that her 7 times great-grandfather was the last person executed during the trials.
So what was her reaction?
She was absolutely thrilled. And that fall, we took a trip up to Salem to learn where everything fits and how all this ties together for us. So while we were up there, I did some more research. I was able to find the original farmstead.
Wow.
And today, Merrimack College sits on that 200-acre farm that we had.
Wow.
I'd ask for it back.
That's amazing.
Well, you're going to have to stay in line because that's what my brother wanted to do as well.
So you got this information. So I'm thinking at that point, this place maybe wasn't really a thought. So how did that end up to where we're sitting now? Because we are actually sitting in your distillery.
Yep. What I wanted to do is I've always wanted to do something for myself. Working in the corporate world was not fulfilling my soul.
That's where I am now. I totally feel you.
So I wanted to break out on my own. I have more of a brewing background than spirits, but I saw at the time that I felt that brewers was getting too crowded. So I started looking at craft spirits, and it was about 2013 when I actually started putting the business plan together. It took me 5 years to actually get open. Over that time, of course, I had to rent this space in 2016. It took us over a year and a half to build it out and get everything approved so that we can get open, and then we opened up. But during that time of building out the process, I went to the entire family, and I said, listen, I want to use the family story as part of this deal. And there was a bunch of talk about how are you going to do this, and I went through it, and the family gave me their blessing, which is great. Then I went to all of my friends and said,
It was a good thing they didn't give you the family curse.
Yeah, exactly. So afterwards I went to the friends and said, guys, does this sound reasonable to you? And all of my friends said, it's such an interesting story. How could you not use it? I did get criticism.
Really?
Yes.
From who?
From who? From what kind?
There was a post online about what's next in a Holocaust-themed restaurant. And
Jeez.
if you look around the place, you'll find all of the history of the witch trials on the walls. What I was trying to create was I wanted an old-time tavern feel, a place like the old meeting houses, someplace you can just go, hang out, have a drink, spend your afternoon, talk about whatever you want to talk about. But if you want to educate yourself, the walls are full of details about the Salem witch trials, and I'm always here, so I'm more than happy to walk you around and explain every little bit on the wall and how it relates. So the goal here is to educate or hang out and be comfortable if you want. However you want to play it, that's what the place is here for. Our back bar here is actually a reproduction of the witch house in Salem. The house was built in 1642.
Excellently done.
Thank you.
That looks great.
There's a picture of it right
Yeah,
here.
I've seen it in real life. I know it.
So that house is owned by Judge Jonathan Corwin during the trials. And it's the last known building to have direct ties to the Salem witch trials in existence. So we figured we'd bring that inside, put it up against our back bar, and so we just try to keep that witch theme going.
Plus the floating hats. That kind of gives it all away right there. The
floating
How do you
hats-
make those hats float like that?
The floating hats started during Halloween. Our first year Halloween decorations, we put those up. And then I was having a conversation with a bunch of friends, and they said, you have to leave the hats.
Oh, it's so cute.
And I said, why? They're Halloween decoration. And they said, well, it makes the place feel warmer, more cozy. And I said, well, I don't quite understand that. But I started thinking about it, and then when I looked at, the witch hats have that nice flat brim on the bottom, and what that does is it drops the ceiling perception by 3 or 4 feet, which would, of course, make the room feel more cozy. So as soon as I realized that, I went, okay, the witch hats can stay.
And then to the rest of us, it just looks like a bunch of magical floating witch hats.
I have to say, you've done a really great job of taking the history of the witch trials into this place, but also doing a great job in educating, because there's a lot of people who really don't understand the history.
Sure.
There's a lot of misconceptions around it, and especially now, because you're someone that people can touch and really see. There's some education around it, and there's people that are still tied to it, and maybe then people will ask the questions and help to understand that there isn't so much. How do I say? There's not so much demonology and
the Hollywood fanfare,
the Hollywood
all of
fanfare
that.
and the misconceptions around it. Okay, so granted, maybe he was a soothsayer, but at the same time, there was a lot around the jealousy and the I want your land, and this is why I'm going to label you something, because then I can get people to take away what you have. But maybe people will ask the questions and try to educate themselves behind what it was all about. So,
I try and bust the major misconceptions. First off, nobody in this country was burned at the stake.
No, there was
was a
no burning.
European issue.
You hear that, people? There were no burnings.
Nobody was dumped.
One person was crushed. There was one person that was crushed.
And the reason for that is the method of capital punishment in French colonies would have been burning at the stake. But we're an English colony, and because of that we follow English rule, and the method of capital punishment for English rule was hanging by the neck. So that's why people here were executed by hanging, not burned at the stake.
You say potato, I say potato.
Dead is dead, so
Dead is
I can
dead.
understand that. The other thing is that 1/3 of the victims were men. Most people believe it was only women. Most people don't understand that witch is a unisexual term. It is not guaranteed that it's going to be a woman. Now, there was another term that could be used for men, and it is not warlock. Because
I was
warlock
just going to say, and it's
came
not warlock.
way after the fact. At the time, you were either a witch, or more specifically, if you're talking specifically about a male witch, you could be considered or labeled a wizard. But that was it, those two terms.
And it's a fun slang. Hey, what's up, wizard? What's up, wizard?
So do you think the gift of soothsaying, has that passed down through your family? Have you seen any instances of that?
I cannot say for sure. I can say that all of my living relatives not necessarily have that gift, but they do perceive things that are a little more than what a normal person would perceive. Call it a feeling, a hunch, a gut reaction, whatever you may. That did pass through, but not necessarily that clairvoyance kind of
Do
thing.
you feel you may have some gifts in those areas?
I have been told, I've had a medium come in and do group readings here, and she has told me that she does see that I possess gifts, and that I have shut them out and blocked them out in my life, and that part of what my family is trying to do is push me forward to open myself up to really embrace those gifts.
I saw on your wall there you have a medium coming in February.
That's Terry Lee, yes, and
Okay.
Terry Lee has been here 5 or 6 times already. She's a great person. She comes in typically on a Sunday night, and she'll do a gallery reading, and she'll try and cover everyone in the room. So she
What
does
a
a really
great
good job.
service for your clientele, though.
Yeah.
I mean, it fits so perfectly with the theming and
Yep,
gives everybody something to talk about and look forward to.
absolutely.
I think it's great, and you're supporting your local soothsayers. Thank you.
Sure.
It's not easy for us to get gigs, we appreciate them when we get them.
No,
I love all the little nuances in the room around us. My eyes have been stuck on these giant tarot cards up in a Celtic cross spread up on the wall.
That is my daughter's addition. She basically
Really?
decided that she wanted to do a giant tarot card deck. So she built this oversized tarot card deck, and she laid out that first draw. And
Oh, and that was it.
That was
Those
it.
were just literally luck of the draw cards.
Yes.
No specific
Nice.
meaning behind them.
well, according to her, the readings that I've got is it's all positive, and specifically what she had to say was that it meant good luck and prosperity.
No, she's right. I'm going to put them, for those of you listening, I'm definitely going to take a picture of that and pop it up on the AusetGypsy podcast Facebook page, so look for that picture. And you can decipher for yourself if she was accurate, but I would say she is accurate.
Yeah,
That's why,
quite good.
looking at them, I thought these must have been handpicked specifically because it's the first card is the Knight of Clubs with the World card, with the Wheel of Fortune over it, and then underneath it is the Eight of Coins, and then it goes up to the Knight of Coins, and then the Fool and the Sun on either side, and then the Chariot, and then the Six of Wands, then the World card. That's where my eyes were before, and then the Four of Wands. I mean, really, you would have to have picked those by hands if that wasn't truly the message you were getting for this place and other opportunities and things going on in your life. That's good. She a reader too? Or she just did it for fun?
She dabbles.
Oh, all right. Well, you got to start
That was
somewhere.
a good dabble.
Yes.
Well, I guess she doesn't dabble. I guess it's just kind of in the blood and
True.
goes through that way. I'll tell her she did a good job. She need a job.
So if you could see yourself 5 years from now, where do you see yourself?
I hope to have this place and a couple more smaller ones, but much the same as far as the decor goes. Being able to spread the message a little further. This year, we're already working on distribution in the state of New Jersey and state of New York to get our spirits out there.
Oh, we're at.
You have to sign a distributorship with a distributor in the States.
Right.
So what we're looking at right now is we're talking to Winebow.
Cool.
They cover New York and New Jersey, and our spirits are already out there, and they're already being reviewed.
So I'm a Jersey guy. I know what you're talking about.
Do you eventually maybe see yourself with a footprint in Salem?
Absolutely. I have been up there and spent some time in Deacon Giles Distillery, which is up in Salem. Spent some time chatting with the guys before I actually got open. So actually I was up there to paint match the Witch House paint.
Nice.
And while I was there, I decided, there's a brand new distillery in town. I have to go down and visit. So I spent about an hour and a half with those guys. They took me around, showed me their place. A really nice place. They've got some really fine spirits and a good atmosphere. So I would definitely like to get some of our spirits somewhere up in that area.
I think it would. It seems that it would be a good fit, considering, that's where your footprint seems to belong. So, we wish you all the best to be able to plant a seed. That's where the seed started, and then
to bring it back.
Bring it back to every place else that you think that your eyes should be. But, this place is great, and, we're telling all our listeners, come and check this place out. Espresso martini. I tend to, that's kind of where I'm.
What is the website?
GallowsHillSpirits.com.
Seeing it all flows so nicely together. You get a little bit of a double entendre with that,
Yeah.
And they're on Facebook as well.
Yes.
So
And
check
Instagram?
that out.
Absolutely.
Twitter.
Tell us a little
yes.
bit about
All right.
what you have going on back here. I mean, we can see that you've got the distilleries back there. And
Yep. So behind the Witch House wall is our proper distillery. We do create everything here. So all the spirits that we have available for sale or tasting are created right here. So we run fermentation straight on through to distillation right behind the wall.
That is very cool.
So that's pretty amazing. So come, do a tasting, check this stuff out. It's delicious. Check out their Facebook page. Come and have a drink. Come and have a drink. And come and have a drink. And come and have a drink.
Right, and come in almost like, if you can't make it all the way up to Salem, Massachusetts, if you're in the Lehigh, I take it we're still in the Lehigh Valley, aren't we?
Yeah, we're in Allentown.
You're in
get a-
Allentown, then you
Get
get
a
little
flavor of
taste
Salem here. This is
believe-
about as close as you're going to get to Salem without going to Salem.
This facade of the house behind me is fantastic. I mean, it
fabulous.
really looks exactly like it.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Very cool.
Last weekend we had a couple in from Salem. They had read about us in a book. We had an author come by about a year ago who did a small piece on us. His last book on Salem had to do with descendants of the witch trials and what they're doing with the story.
Wow.
So we're, unbeknownst to me, we're in this book.
That's awesome.
It's called Wicked Salem.
Isn't that funny? Your what exactly was he again to you?
8 times great-grandfather. So.
It's great grandfather.
8
So
greats.
him and the widow had children.
Yes, 7 of them.
7 of them.
Yes, and she had 1 child prior to that.
So that was a big family. But I mean, how cool is that he's still, in his death and so many hundreds of years later, still providing for his family?
Well, you have to understand that just Samuel. So if you expand my family out there, I've got 10 to 12,000 living descendants of Samuel.
Wow.
So I've got a bunch of cousins out there that I've never met.
Wow.
That'll be some family reunion. You better make a lot of spirits back there.
But if I open that up to all 25 people that are listed on that wall that actually died during the witch trials,
Right.
That's a pretty big list of people that have some influence or some history that relates to Salem. So
Sure.
It's not me. I'm not all that special just because I have this.
Well, you're
link.
special to us because you are closest link I think I've ever met.
Well, but if you think about what you're doing, you're helping to, again, to educate and to expand and to let people know, here's the history and here's what's going on, and understand it. Here it is,
Yep.
and you're offering it to, this little place of Pennsylvania, for those that can't get up to Salem.
Providing
So I
people
think
a
it's
real
great.
connection.
Yeah,
Those times.
And as much information as I can give them.
absolutely.
I've had people that have gone up to, visit, and they'll come back here within a short period of time and go, wait a minute, I think we learned more here than we did up in Salem.
It's great.
And it's because you have to pick the right tours, you can go to the right places. And most of the walking tours will give you more information than any of the other single attractions up there. But here I try and do a well-rounded, because we're not in Salem, we're in Allentown, Pennsylvania.
Sure.
I try and give as much history about the witch trials as possible.
Did you get a lot of tourism of real witchy people? Who just
When we
find
first
the
opened
connection
up,
to this
yes.
place? And
Yes.
I thought this would be like a hot spot for witchy pagan people who would, looking for their place. I mean, this is it. Looking
Yeah.
around, it's stylish, it's modern,
Yeah.
it's got a touch of, old world romanticism to it. You would think that this would be
the
the place
hangout.
they were all looking for.
Well,
yeah.
and it's real. It's
it's
not something that's just a
authentic.
pop-up shop. It really does have that connection to the history, and I think that's what makes it different than somebody who I'm going to open up a shop because I'm going to proclaim myself as somebody who, dabbles. This is something that's really connected to the history. So I think that's what really. Well, and then you have this.
Conjuring up the spirits.
Yes.
I
The
think I
real
might conjure
spirits.
up another spirit in a moment or two. That was really good, actually.
So, as we come to a close, if you can leave our listeners with something, what do you want to leave them with?
If you want to learn more about the Salem witch trials, you'll get quite a bit of good information here. We do tours every weekend, so you can run through and do the front house tour, which is all the witch history, and then we'll do the back half of the tour, which is how we make the spirits. So we offer both of those up. And like I said, we're running back-to-back all weekend long.
That is fabulous. So you hear
Very
it.
cool.
You can come here, have a tour. I think I'm going to come back and do that. So,
Well, I look forward to bringing all my
yeah, right.
friends and family in when they're in from out of town to come check this out.
Thank you.
Yeah, really.
Yeah, that's really great. Thank you for doing that.
Oh,
and,
thanks for having us.
We
Sure,
we appreciate that because that's really something that I think our listeners and the community at large really appreciates that. We need more of that. So thank you.
No, thank
you. Please, we need people to come to the local businesses. So come. We will
Yes.
find you if you don't. Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Awesome. And
Did you tell him who you guys ran into that weekend?
No.
Remember when you helped us out
Yes.
the very first time that we had Barbara there?
Yes.
Well, the woman, I forget her name.
crazy.
But
Just call
the
her crazy.
woman who she did all that with was at the Pocono weekend.
Oh, okay.
She was at the seance.
Oh, I didn't know that.
I didn't know it either until just now, but he told me
And the
before,
ghost
and I
hunt.
don't remember. And she was there for the ghost.
She was at the
well, the
ghost hunt
seance and the
she was
ghost
there
hunt.
for the event.
Do you remember? Do you remember when we did that whole
Yeah.
cleansing, and then I had given her the
He gave
the
Kevin
boyfriend
the
the candle and said if she was crazy, light it. He ended up lighting it, and she's gone.
He dumped her and lit it. But Jim said she lost a lot of weight.
She lost a ton of weight. I didn't even recognize her. She came up. She said, "You were at my
Because
house."
I would have
I'm like-
never.
She was
I'm thinking,
cuckoo.
well, we've been at a hotel.
She had some
Could
cuckoo.
be anything.
She had some
She
cuckoo
told
there.
him that she was done indulging in that stuff or whatever, and evidently not, because things
'cause
started
she-
happening. So he dumped her and lit the camera.
My friend buying all kind of stuff at the
We are chiming in with a second portion of our AusetGypsy, the podcast show. Kind of surprised everybody. I figured some side banter.
Those were outtakes.
Not even outtakes. I just figured I'd let you guys
He did that
talk
on
naturally,
purpose.
normally. Hey, everyone likes to hear what's going on behind the scenes. And if you haven't already guessed, and if you've already listened to our show a couple of times, then you do recognize some of the voices you're hearing. They're not just voices in the back of your head. They are our friends from the Paranormal Spirit Finders group. And say hi, everybody.
Hello.
Hi, everybody.
Now say hi in unison.
Hi in unison.
Guten Morgen.
But we also got a couple of other friends with us. We have esteemed author Rick Potter. Do you go by just Rick Potter? Have I been saying your name wrong the whole
It
time?
was Rick Potter for a while, but now it's Rick Silfes.
Rick Silfes.
Since I got married.
So I'm corrected. Forgive me.
It's okay.
I was there.
habits die
It's
hard.
real. It happens.
I was there too.
You were there. You were there.
And we're also here with Leo. Are we allowed to say your last name on? Yes. Leo Vazquez. I said it right?
And who is Leo?
Who is Leo? No, don't give him that.
Years now. The 2 marriages, yeah. A very good friend of everyone here. I guess with the Thelemite.
Is that legal?
Yeah.
It is legal.
In some countries it's not actually. I follow the teachings and study the practices that Aleister Crowley laid out for aspirants of the Order of the Silver Star.
And if that's grabbed anybody's attention out there, don't you worry. We'll have Leo on for his own segment all to himself. And
He didn't know
tell
that. We
us
just sprung that on him.
all about that. Oh. We'll supply the rum chies. But, hey, we're all together again.
The gang's all here. So this is going to be the fun outtakes version.
Well, more candid, I believe.
I think
It's kind
this
of
is
a
more
rolling
candid.
candid. We're still here at the Gallows. What's the full name? I just kept calling this place the Gallows. The Gallows Spirits.
So to be clear, the gallows is where people get hung. The correct version is the Gallows Hill Spirits, where we drink. That's much better. So let's go around the table. We have our Paranormal Spirit Finders friends. Please introduce yourself.
Jim.
Donna.
Nolan.
I guess I'm part of that. B. Then we have our friend Rick. And what are you, Rick?
I am an
An
author,
enigma.
a teacher. I'm a mystery.
That was not what I
am
expected.
Founder of the Blackthorn Druid Order. Our new classes start again in March of 2020. This may be the last year for classes. I've been debating whether I'm going to continue them after next year or not.
So you better sign up now, people. You better sign up now.
But that's who I am. I'm a witch, I'm a druid, I'm an author, and a teacher. They're 3-hour classes. They're part workshop, part lecture.
But they're fantastic because I've sat in on what Rick does. And not only is Rick's voice just hypnotizing that you just get totally pulled into what he's talking about, it's a really fantastic presentation. I loved it. So those of you listening out there, if Rick's serious about this
Sign
being
up
the
so it doesn't
farewell
go
tour,
away.
you better sign up. You don't want to miss a good opportunity.
So here's what we're going to do with this segment to make it really exciting. Since everybody's around the table.
We're going to do musical chairs?
Yes. No, because I'm not getting up because I'm too damn lazy and I had a long day. So everybody's going to get a chance to chime in to what they do. So Paranormal Spirit Finders, I'm staring at shirts, which is boobs. Sorry. There's nothing censored. No. Everybody has boobs.
Yes,
They're just
this is
different
true.
sizes.
Yes.
Mine says, I hear dead people. So we're going to kind of discuss what everybody is going to be doing in the next couple of days. Maybe not specifically, but kind of. So, my Paranormal Spirit Finders friends, I'm laughing because I kind of know. What are my Paranormal Spirit friends going to be doing in the next couple of days? Blink, blink.
What am I allowed to say?
Anything you want.
Without giving names or locations.
Oh,
or
give the names and
specifics.
locations. Let's be scandalous.
We never give out locations or names for lots of reasons.
Yes.
Well, unless it's a public event.
Unless it's a public event, which it's not.
But this is not a public event.
And then if you're doing the public event and not giving out the names and locations, then you got to contact all your local mediums to find out where the hidden location is.
Yes. Now, we have gotten permission to post some pictures from investigations that we went to and whatnot. We're very respectful in the privacy of the homeowner or people that we're with, and for us as well. Like I said in the last show, we did an exorcism. Nobody has to know where or who or what, but it was crazy as all hell. It was quite interesting. I mean, movies, they make heads spin on TV and this and that, but to see what goes on outside of actually witnessing a head spin 360 degrees, it's quite interesting and it's alarming. It's kind of scary at the same time. But when you're around people that know what they're doing and can handle it, there's nothing to be worried about.
What exactly do you do as Paranormal Spirit Finders?
We go in, people will contact us either directly through our Facebook page or email, or they'll contact. They have a contact that they can contact one of our members personally, and then it gets spread to Jim, Donna, or myself, and we'll contact that person and get more information. We actually got contacted through Claire, part of our group. I will be making a phone call here in the next few days when we have some free time. We have a potential investigation coming up.
We have one tomorrow.
Yeah, we do have one tomorrow, that's going to be an interesting one. It'll be interesting to see an exorcism done to a house. I've witnessed one to a person, now I get to witness one to a house.
That's going to be my next question. What type of exorcisms are you performing? Because there are several different types of exorcisms.
So the one that was done was actually coming right out of the Roman Catholic exorcism book. So, without giving too much information,
Somebody played with a Ouija board.
So to take a step back, there's a lot of information, or there's a lot of how do I say people's information on how it should be done or not should be done. So I'm an ordained minister. So somebody who's in who's a Catholic priest would say, I can't do a Catholic exorcism. I can tell you that I was the one that did it, and it was successful. I will also tell you that in the process of doing it, halfway through, I was questioning whether I should be doing it, and whether that was... Let me take a step back. There are things that I would change. I don't think I put the proper, in case of emergency, break glass steps in place. It was successful. However, if there were things that went wrong, I was not prepared. I needed to have the appropriate individuals in place that if it didn't go the way it did, I didn't have the appropriate people in place for me to help me if I needed them. So that was a learning experience, but that was not the way to learn it. So I'm going to curse. It was fucked up.
It's on video for 6 hours.
And it was... So to use the exorcism movie. It wasn't as extreme, but the person that was involved, she experienced things that I didn't think were going to happen, and they did. And as my mind was watching this, I thought, oh shit, what am I going to do? What if this goes longer? There were people that I should have had in place as backup, and I didn't. So now I know if I ever have to do that on a person, I need to have the right people in place, and I didn't. And that was stupid on my part. So I will never go into that situation without having the right backup. So I was lucky.
Well, yeah, sounds like you were. I mean, one of the reasons I asked was because, from what I understand about exorcism, and I've never performed one, so I'm not going to say that I have, is that you have to determine the nature of the intelligence or spirit.
And I did.
Right.
And I did. And it did reveal itself, and it did speak. And when I tell you this person spoke back, and it's on film, and writhed, and this poor woman, I mean, people had to hold her down.
Was that when you used the Roman lit?
Yes.
Okay. All right.
Yes, I did.
I had a series of different exorcisms for like Arabic and Hindu, Sanskrit, and I always thought, okay, well, you have to determine who you're dealing with first.
And I absolutely agree with you. So here's the thing. So let me take a step back. Just in paranormal investigation in general, when we go in and there's something that needs to be done, I rely on and it's not to say that, I am all-knowing, because I am not. I'm very humbled to know that things come to me and I'm told what I need to do. And they can attest to every place we've gone that something has had to be done, it's been completely different. It's never been the same. So in this case, it was very clear. It needs to be Roman Catholic. It needs to be this way, and that's why it was that way. If it's I'm an intercultural minister, so I've been trained in all different ways. If it had to be a different way, it would have to be a different way. But it goes back to, I may do it in a different way, but the lesson for me was, you better have the backup if it gets fucked up. Because, I'm only one person, and if it goes ridiculously wrong, now I know that I have my ministry family back there, and they're spread all over the place, but I better never go into that position and not send out a message, hey, I'm doing this, and if I need your help, I better be able to tap into those people. And I didn't do it that day, and that was really stupid, because if it's screwed up, what am I going to do in that moment? Now, in some initiations, I'm a santera, so I know there's certain things I can do. I know there's certain initiations I can do, but there's certain things I'm doing where I'm still going to need backup. I can't do it on my own. I've learned. That was scary that night. And as people are holding her down, and she's writhing and screaming and telling, she said she's tasting blood and she's screaming. It's like my head's going, oh shit, oh shit, oh shit, oh shit. Hours later, she's still screaming. What if it went wrong?
About a situation where you really need to use that cliche and breathe.
Yeah.
Stop.
Breathe.
I actually missed the whole thing.
And he was going to get beer.
I missed
For 6 hours?
I missed 15 minutes.
That was a rum trip.
I missed
Big alcohol throughout this whole thing.
I missed 15 minutes of this because I was running all over town looking for a liquor store.
I've never
because
seen a bottle of alcohol disappear my entire life.
Two people needed their guides wanted alcohol. They needed alcohol, and we're going through the whole house and we couldn't find anything. Well, here after
Please tell me people were drinking the alcohol. They weren't just throwing
No,
it
we
away.
were.
Oh, it was being spit.
There was a couple, and you'll appreciate this because there was a couple pieces to this, and El Legua came in, and there was a couple pieces. Yeah,
Very nice.
it was.
That must have made the
You have
communication much easier with this thing because of Legua.
well
Just
easy, yes, and yes, but again.
Then to rip the Ouija board. Was that well done?
So at the end,
Spirit board.
yes, that was everything you can imagine was in this.
Oh, it was.
You could have. They had to go back.
You know what? So let me tell you something. You have to come and watch the video one day because this is all on film. It's a 6-hour video. And let me tell you, the Ouija board was ripped up, and I can tell you, if you look at my board, it's in one piece. You can see it on film, ripped up into shreds, and if you look at my board today, it's in one piece. There's not one rip on it. It's messed up.
It's one of those where
Messed
if
up.
I watched the video of it, I would say
If you weren't
bullshit,
there, and
but I was there. I was a part of it.
right.
I know what happened at the end when
my board
when
looks
it needed to be
beautiful.
closed.
It's the one I showed you.
Yeah, it is
In the
beautiful.
video, it's ripped up
It
into
looked like a
shreds.
Really?
Shreds.
Everybody was
Shreds.
piled on
And now
top of each other
just
trying to keep
one
them on the
piece.
board.
One piece?
One piece.
What do you think put
Nobody
it back
would come off the
together?
board.
Yeah,
Just
so
to
they
get
did.
close.
So they
It did its work.
So they could
Healed
close
itself
it.
up?
Healed
That's
itself.
disconnected.
There was a lot of vulgarity going on that night too.
Oh yeah, tell me about it.
I was talking in shit that I don't know what I was talking.
For every swear word, if I could have $1 for every swear word, I could reach.
Oh, I was saying things that
It got to the point where,
I was talking in voices that were not
You were
mine.
talking in languages I've never heard before.
well, Kat was praying in Spanish, and
Kat
then
was
the
in
woman,
Spanish.
the woman who had the exorcism done on her, she was fine, and they were sealed off. The whole family was sealed off in a room, but it's a small house, so they could hear everything that was going on. Their kids,
The kids were screaming.
the
they heard
husband,
mom
the
screaming,
everything.
Like, oh my god, now what do we do?
So she started praying from the room that they were sealed off in and protected. She was praying along with Kat, who was praying in Spanish. So she jumped in. I mean, the woman's Brazilian, so she jumped in and she was praying with us, not knowing that she was doing that. So there was a whole lot going on.
It
And
was-
the
it's
week leading up to
ridiculous.
that was even crazier because I'd contact.
drums. You got
You hear drums in the back.
drums
It's
on the recordings. I'm like,
ridiculous.
where are these drums coming from? Right in the middle of it.
I mean, I was having dreams. I was having
ridiculous.
dreams leading up to this, and I'm telling Barbara, joking with her, like, okay, this song keeps playing in my mind, and I'm hearing all these other songs, but this is the only one that comes out. Scorpions, Wind of Change.
Now that's there's a selection for you.
And then, like when you search YouTube and you go under and you look at lyrics and listen to the song, they have other songs that pop up below that are from the same group or or I should say has something to do with that genre, that whatever. So I said, well, was I supposed to come to this song or the song that's under it? Send Me an Angel by the Scorpions. And she kept telling me, shut the fuck up, shut the fuck up. And we went through all the lyrics, and she used the lyrics with her books to figure out the game plan of how she was going to go about doing the exorcism and everything. And that could have been possibly why it worked. But why am I having dreams like
audio
this?
divination?
Yeah.
That's kind of what it came
A
to.
little bit of everything.
Yeah,
All in 6 hours.
At the end of that, so when he came back with the alcohol, no kidding, how much alcohol did we drink?
There
And
was-
then we were not drunk at the end. We were fine. At the end of it, we were fine.
Well, you
Drank ton.
burning it up and the exhaust.
Fine, no problem. At the end, no problem.
They drank.
It was all done.
They drank 3/4 of a bottle of Brazilian rum, a 40 of Miller Lite in like no time whatsoever, and these two people walk out of the house like nothing ever
It was
happened.
done.
For the amount of alcohol they
Yeah.
drank in that short period of time,
Should have been at the curb.
they should have never been able to walk out or drive, and they were fine. I'm like, how does that happen?
They burned it all off on the inside the board.
How
Yeah.
do Druids do exorcisms? You don't? You hire in the Catholics?
Yeah, the normal,
You go on vacation.
I mean, the only exorcism you really see in a ceremonial hermetic text is the exorcism of a Gallows spirit. That's really, you're dealing with a circle, you're dealing with a triangle, you're dealing with, a direct
I have one of those
communication without
those
a
triangles.
Yeah. Unlike what Crowley did a very dangerous thing when he was with Victor Nuremberg the desert, and they contacted Carranza, and he was possessed by Carranza. He became the vehicle Carranza maneuvered. Was like stuck in a circle trying to fend this thing off as it's like slowly throwing sand.
See, I'm glad you brought that point up, because if you haven't been inside my shop at AusetGypsy, on the wall I have the Wall of Fame, and it's all gifts that people have given to me. And one of the things is a Ouija board. And people come in, and grown adults will always freak out over the Ouija board. I'm almost so tired of talking about it. But I'm glad you brought that point up, because when I have to listen to some of the soccer moms, the Ouija board, that brings in the devil, and it brings in this, and I'm like, did you really bring in the devil through this?
Yeah.
Like, it can. I'm like, oh, it can? You know that? Like, I've had this conversation just recently, because I couldn't stand it anymore, and I needed to entertain myself. And I was like, so you're a master at spirit communication through the Ouija board? Well, no, I'm not. But, if you play with it, you can bring those things out. I'm like, it's interesting. I'm like, because throughout history, there's been ceremonial magicians, priests, priestesses, witches, ritualists, doing their damnedest to summon the most horrible of things out of the depths of Hades to do their bidding. And I even know some of these people.
But Parker
and
Brothers
they have
can bring
no luck whatsoever. But a bunch of 13-year-old girls at a sleepover can sit down with a Parker Brothers Ouija board and unleash hell on the earth. I'm like, people are watching way too many of these garbage WB shows if they believe that they're doing this. I don't believe that.
That's funny.
But I'm glad you brought that up.
I always found it funny that it was just a game, really. It was just created a
Just a
game.
game, right.
Ouija means yes, yes.
Right.
We Inja. Yeah, that's all.
But
Yes, sir.
but
But then you have a lot of occultists who have tried to use it.
Well, I think in the right hands of any spiritualist, medium, magician, you can use any tool. That's the whole point of being that person, is that you know how to take a thing and use it in a magical direction to make it work for you.
There's a brother
I believe that,
His name is Milo Duquette. He wrote
I love his books.
Oh, you do?
Yes. You don't like him? I like his books. They're fun. They're
I didn't
fun.
say I didn't like it, but he wrote a book on divination, and he used this channel surfing divination. Like he's just changing the channel, and he's stringing along a sentence for everything that comes.
That's clever.
So you can use anything as divination
If you know how to do it.
But so here's my thought on all of this. And again, after experiencing all of that, so when I went through my initiations for Santeria, I went to Cuba, and after experiencing all of that, and I know you get all of the they don't call it possession, they call the mounting when right. After seeing all of that, I have a very, I guess, low tolerance for the devil's coming down, and you can, because after seeing all of that, I'm like, okay, whatever, because I saw a lot of that, having the, Orishas coming down and having people, actually taken over by that. So for me, it's like, you have no idea.
Yeah.
So for me, my tolerance level for, if you're playing with that and you think like things are coming down and people are getting, you have no idea. You want to see possession? I'll show you a real one. Now this was real. That was real shit. So I think I'm a little bit more discerning. And if it happens, so it happens. Yeah, it's not so bad. It's okay. Let it happen. It's not a big deal. I'm not really sure how much of it is. I want to say that I was able to conjure up Mickey Mouse and let him come in and do his thing. But it's helped with all of this. to be able to go into the house and be able to say, you know, what's really happening and what's
So do you,
really
you utilize
bullshit.
it more as a tool in the right hands?
Yeah, because I think
and
when
it becomes a communication tool.
well, yeah, and I think
But do we think that the world beyond only needs those things to communicate with, or do we limit ourselves to believing that? Can't they use like technology at this point?
Medium. You have a lot of chaos magicians. I'm not a big person on chaos magic, but that are using electronic mediums now to like create sigils,
Right.
impregnate sigils. You know, especially now with this, it really depends on the grain.
Like, what
The
isn't?
spirit of the age, where are people moving towards? You know, we're becoming keyboard warriors.
Right.
You know, in the past, you had a curse or exercise something, you cursed and exercised it with
But using
fumigations
the.
of incense and
But using
magical
the-
weapons. Now it's like this.
But wait. How? But that does become the tool of the age. I think we romanticize and mysticize, if that's a word, but it is right now because I'm tired and not feeling very well. I think we look back on the times with what we would consider crude tools at another period and ages that was the creme de la creme of their technology, you know, and we do have magic in the air right now. Us doing this podcast show and then uploading it so that millions and millions of listeners
millions.
will have the opportunity to listen to it if they wanted to it, just through the air. There's airwaves now. There's synthetic kind of vibrations in the air now. Why wouldn't talented ceremonists and ritualists and magicians manipulate these waves? You know, up until I was given webcams by clients of mine like 16, 17 years ago now, I would not do webcam readings. I wouldn't even do readings for clients over the phone because I kind of saw that, and I wanted the personal thing. Yeah, you know, we come from a time where those 1-900 numbers really scammed a lot of people, and it left a bad taste in people's mouths if they remember that. Now there's a whole legion of people and generations
Wasn't that
don't
like
know
sex
that.
calls though? 1-900.
No,
Or
because
was that
they were
1-800?
they were psychic lines too.
There was quote unquote psychic.
I'm dating myself.
Psychics that
Sorry.
you called. It was very expensive.
1-800. Sorry.
But the thing is, so two clients of mine gave me webcams to my computer. And I'm like, what is this? Two separate ones. They didn't know each other. And they were like, webcams. I'm like, for what? One was moving to California and one was moving to Germany. They're like, well, I want to be able to see you for our consultation. So I'm like, oh, I don't want to do that. I'm like, that's not authentic enough. They're like, hello, it's 21st century. Come on, James, get with it. And so I had to start FaceTiming them. And then it just became normal. So now it's normal and I've had to adapt to it. But I didn't just give in to it. I just didn't give in to, okay, I'm going to do this on cam. We're used to it now. But there was a time where I had to really figure out, how am I going to do this? I have to really figure out a way. I have to really meditate on this. And I don't mean like you know, metaphorically. I literally had to meditate on, how am I going to manipulate these waves? Because that is what they are. You know, when we do our meditations and center ourselves and we, you know, balance ourselves out or become one with the vibrations and energies around us, these are satellite-created interferences. They're satellite-created vibrations. They're in our air now. And I think that ever since this has increased so much, there has been a noticeable, unnoticeable
Shift.
Yeah, totally, completely. Because there is something distracting. It's not as quiet as it used to be. Even though you don't hear these things, if you're sensitive, you will feel them. And I know I've talked to my friends in the technology field who go, yeah, but James, people say this. These waves are really not interfering with anything. I'm like, everything interferes with everything. Everything in existence, seen and unseen, will at one time interfere with each other. We can't say they don't interfere. We can't, because they will. So now using this technology, like you said, these keyboard warriors, but it's true. But what's the difference between, you know, Roman patricians carving curses into a piece of aluminum and rolling it up and shoving it in their neighbor's wall, then someone online tapping away and releasing that out. Wouldn't Thoth and Hermes have like so much invested in the energy of this created tablet?
Absolutely.
It's interesting.
You know, there's I was going to say one thing, but you just reminded me of something else. Sally Ann Glassman makes a good point that Ogun, or all the Orishas, are constantly evolving. At one time, we did not have needles for injections. So and this Ogun predates a needle for an injection, but now we have needles for an injection, and that's Ogun. That's the blade that pierces the skin. At one time, we did not have these metal cars. That's Ogun. It's like he's carving the way on the highway with this thing. That's metal. So, those deities, the air, mankind, we're constantly evolving. Which leads me into what I was about to say. Even with a tarot reading, in the morning, I do a 3-card spread in the morning. It's just a really simple thing, like just kind of access what's going on. Or a I Ching reading in the morning. And the thing is, you're pulling from this sort of like organ of ideas. You're pulling from this infinitude to grasp at a few possible finite ideas and put them down into a picture to communicate with you. That's sort of like the internet too. You're grasping at this infinite realm of concepts and trying to bring them together to satisfy your own curiosity, or just answer a question. I'm a sucky tarot reader. I suck. God damn. And half of it is based on fantasy sometimes,
That's a portion of it.
I Ching reading once about some woman, and it was like, oh, hell no. Don't even.
But when we do investigations, like everything we do is electronic. If you think about it, everything we're doing it's all based on equipment. It's all listening to waves and looking at what we can get from thermal, and I can't wait to use my new piece of equipment, thermal scans, and listening to what we can get on the computer. So everything's based on electronic everything. But from that perspective, if you take out that electronic piece, what would we have? The feeling, what do I feel? What do I, what can I taste? What do I, what's my gut? So without that electronic piece, what did we have before? It's all, based on...
It's basically hearsay. It's all personal experience.
It's all going to be that.
We've all been touched in one way or another. We've seen shadow figures.
Jeez, I miss all the good stuff at these things.
So what
all of you coming together?
It's been a long time.
I hope I get touched. Jeez.
I'm trying to keep it on the... never mind.
I'm glad I'm not the only one that
so
has a
innocently and
mind like
seriously. We've all been touched. Really. Show me on that doll over there where they touched you.
I tried. I'm sorry. I failed.
Do each of you have your own roles in the group, or do you all do the same thing?
Speaking of, and I'm sorry, so I'm just going to tell you, so my role, so when I was in Cuba, I was given the title of muertera. You put muerta, which means dead woman. We have to fix it. I'm a dead woman on our website. I just saw that today.
Wow.
So we need to fix that because I'm dead. Apparently, I'm dead.
Okay.
I'm not really here.
So everybody, go look now while you still can and screenshot that. That's hilarious.
Maybe you really are dead.
I'm not really here.
Did
you just think I'm?
Did you take the red pill or did you take the blue pill?
I took them both.
Even the movie The Others, where
them both.
at the end they find out that they were
That's
one
the Sixth
that
Sense.
we're at.
Sixth
Yeah,
Sense,
that
isn't it?
too.
The others
Yeah,
too.
that movie
The others.
No, the
is
others.
same.
That was a good movie.
I never
That was a
saw
very good movie.
I never
I
saw
never,
it.
I had read about it. I didn't see it. Didn't see a preview. Nothing.
Nope,
and I
me
watched
neither.
that, and I was like, did not see that coming.
And that surprised
I never
me
saw it.
Yes.
because usually I always figure it out like in the first few seconds, and then I hate a movie and rip it apart for the next 2 hours. But that
No.
one surprised me.
That one you can't.
I really
James
was
would like a movie that's a big deal.
I was like, oh, they got me. Good
What
for
are your
them.
roles in the group in Paranormal Spirit?
So go ahead, Jim. You go first. Because
Be sure you talk loud enough so we can hear you.
Well, I guess my role is I'm probably like I guess they call me the lead investigator for some reason. I don't know why.
He's a techie guy.
Yeah, I'm the guy with the toys. I'm the guy who usually has all the toys. I bring all the fun toys to play with. I usually do a lot of the setup stuff. I'm also the guy that listens to all the evidence afterwards. I'm the
He's
guy
the
who's
one
boringest
that-
job of the whole game.
He's the one that influences bad to other people, and now I have a whole
I'm
living.
glad I'm wearing off on somebody.
Now I have a table full of equipment because of him.
oh, I was gonna say.
But if there's anybody who has a boring job, it's me. I have to listen to all the recorders. Some places there may be 8 of them laying out for 4.5 hours apiece. And sometimes all I hear is crickets. That's it. The entire time, and I'll sit for days and listen. And other times I'll pick one recorder, maybe 10 minutes into it. I have 20 EVPs. You never know. Just never know.
He's also the leader of the group because he's one of the founders of the group. So that's why everybody looks to him as being one of the leaders. And then the other leader,
Why are you looking at me?
because you're the other leader.
You're the other guy. You're the other half responsible for this mess.
I don't look at myself as a lead investigator. I'm an investigator just like pretty much all of us in our group. We're all an investigator in some way or form. We do have 3 or 4 members that, they have superpowers. They could do more than just being an investigator. But
Some are even dead.
in all seriousness, though, like everybody in our group can bring something to the table to where we can help. Like I'm an
I want to be
investigator.
Storm. Sorry.
But I like to go to a place and just sit, be quiet, and observe. I'm not always full of questions unless I see something, hear something that I can't figure out what it is. Then I'll start drumming up some questions. I handle a lot of the phone calls, talking with the clientele and figuring out what's going on. Jim does the same thing. Unfortunately, Donna is like our
Case manager?
secretary.
Case manager.
Secretaries
File.
don't like it. What?
File. Oh, shiny.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Stenographer.
Shiny squirrel.
You and Corey are the stenographers.
Corey's a better stenographer than I am. I can't even say the word.
It's 25 pages of stuff.
So my job as an investigator and to keep Jim grounded, because Jim does have a tendency to go off whenever he hears something, feels something, sees something. He flies off the handle, and I'm the one who takes the more scientific route and says
She doesn't
well,
believe anything.
I'm one who has to see it, hear it. I want concrete evidence. I want it on video. I want it on recording. I need to have that. I need to proof. I need to have proof.
You're also the one that straightens me out when I come back all messed up, trying to figure what's wrong with me.
Yes, I'm also the one who, when he's all messed up, realizes that he's all messed up and have to call Barbara or Claire and say,
What do I do?
we need some helping, we need some healing stuff going on here because he's off the rails.
When did you start doing this?
Officially, 2013 was when the group was formed, and it started out as Jim, Nolan, myself, and Nolan's wife, Crystal. It was the 4 of us that would go and do things. And then we started going on ghost investigations with other groups to see what they were doing, how they were doing, what they were doing. And we wound up picking up people from those investigations who were really good investigators who clicked really well with us, and that's how we kind of grew the group.
Yeah, it was funny because people ask us, "Where's the application?" Like, what application?
Yeah, people still ask us, "Where's the
Where's
application?"
the
We're like,
full application?
"You want to
gotta
come?"
fill out?
There are groups out there that you want to join their group, you fill out an application.
It's sometimes
It's like a
3-4
job
pages.
interview.
You you got to fill out. Yeah, and it's worse than a job.
That's what we've been told.
Medical
Now,
exam.
we've never
Or something.
personally experienced that, but other people have said, "Well, I tried to get in this group and I had to fill
Jim's
this out."
actually researched
I
it.
researched one of them. Two
He
of them
actually
researched.
went and looked at the application. Well, the application said, "What kind of equipment can you bring with you?"
They want to
I didn't have equipment
Didn't you
until
guys
you.
consider yourselves a little lucky, though? I mean, I can imagine in the field of work you guys do, a little vetting probably goes a long way.
Yes, it does.
I mean,
Yeah.
you guys are a nice knit group. You all get along. Everybody knows each other. You got lucky. I can imagine there's some
Kooky people.
Yeah, there's some
Yeah.
strange ducks out there that I'm
So
sure want
the
to get
thing is-
part of something like this.
Most of
But
it
the-
was his fault.
Yeah, most of it's Rick's fault.
Rick's fault.
But the
your
thing
fault,
is,
It's his wedding. His wedding got all of us in trouble.
One day there was a wedding,
Is
and
that
all these
what
people
you got married and all
together.
these people put together a ghost hunter group?
No, I think the venue where we had the wedding, there were some off-limits places
Oh.
that people ventured into.
Exciting.
I don't know what you're talking about.
That's another whole video stuff.
so, but in answer to your question, James, we don't just ask anybody to be a part of the group. Most of the time, they've either investigated with us on a public investigation,
Right.
or we've been with them on other ghost hunts several times,
Or we stalk them.
or they're one of our stalkers in our Facebook group. Not that we include all of our stalkers, because some of those people just need to not be in the group.
Just needs to be spectators.
Exactly.
Right.
yes.
Somebody's got to
Yes,
watch, right? Somebody's just got to
everybody has their
listen.
role, and sometimes you just need to be a spectator in order to do that.
No, agreed.
But
Totally.
we don't ask just anybody to be a part of the group. We make sure that they fit with us personality-wise,
Right.
How their style is.
They're not on
Because-
too many medications.
That's right.
Sorry.
How did you get into our wire then?
What are you doing? How did that happen?
This is the only medication I have.
I forgot to look at our resume.
Which, before we forget, that brings a good point up. We have partnered up with GK2 Paranormal.
Yeah, I'm so excited
They
about
are
that.
from the Pottstown
Pottstown,
area.
yeah.
They're awesome.
We have done
Very cool
some
people.
investigations with them at the Sun Inn in
And she
Bethlehem.
sees shiny squirrels like I do.
Yeah.
Yes, Kristen does.
And we do. We have bonded over the
Appar-
shiny squirrels.
Apparently, we have formed a shiny squirrel trio.
We have. We have.
Everybody
We
says
have.
I investigate. Me and Gary investigate the same way. You and Kristen investigate the same way.
Yes.
We investigate shiny squirrels.
They were definitely a good click with us. We do have, I think, 12 active members in our group, but we all can't get together to do investigations, and we were shorthanded on some public events. We asked Gary and Kristen to join us, and they came to a handful of
They're
them.
a cool
And-
duo, though.
Yeah, they
I
are.
really like
we
them.
asked them if they would partner with us. It helps them out as well.
And what did I say to you when I kind of snuck in? No. Be prepared.
Bigger, better. More things are going to
You're
happen.
like, yeah, no problem.
We can
You're
handle
like,
it.
we can handle it. It's all good.
Well, what's the next big thing you guys have? I heard you guys say you have something tomorrow night.
Well, we have a home investigation tomorrow night.
That has a couple of steps to it.
That has a couple of steps to it. There's some
Is it like the hustle?
it's a little more complicated than the hustle.
More complicated than the hustle? Jeez.
I don't know.
I'd never be able to keep up with
Yeah.
you people.
Sounds
like a
Hustle's kind of
kind of electric
complicated.
slide.
And we got a lot of new
Electric
equipment.
Equipment running.
So Jim, being the techie guy, is a bad influence. And I've gotten really excited, like getting all this equipment. So we've got
Your bank account.
no, but getting close. So it hasn't come yet, but we have this new piece of equipment that hasn't come yet called the portal.
Isn't that big thing looks like a stereo? Is it?
Done. So I think it's like this big.
Oh my gosh.
So
You're carrying it.
Yeah, you're carrying
no,
it
he's
around.
carrying it.
No, he's carrying it.
No, it's going to end
That's
up
what
going
his
in
role
my
in the
truck.
team is.
So
Our little.
I went to Easton State Penitentiary. I can't say it right. It's
You're
Easton
fine.
State Penitentiary.
it's that that
Eastern State Pen.
that. They had this piece of equipment that it's basically a spirit box that was attached to their computer, but so spirits they need a medium to be able to speak through. And usually you hear the white noise, but they had a piece of equipment where it was
ping off of something. in the
right. It
background.
went through the white noise, but the white noise was voided out, so you can just hear them without the white noise. So it was like I'm
It's like
speaking
a
to
hack
you.
shack.
Oh, right.
A Hack Shack or a Frank's box.
So
You know what
I
that
found a company.
James
James
is
doesn't know what that
confused.
is.
So
I know what a Japanese box is.
so there's this. So I found through Ghost. Oh, what was the Ghost?
Ghost Stop.
Ghost Stops, but he goes through another person that he builds them. He used
I
to.
can't think of the guy's name. I know
I can't think of the guy's name, but he was building these. They're called a portal. So basically, we have it's called a spirit box, and it works through radio frequencies. So it has that that sound where they can speak through, and then you can hear the voices. But through the spirit box, it attaches to this piece of machinery called the portal, which so think of this like AM frequency that attaches to this piece of equipment. The piece of equipment will then loop through and dull out that sound. So then all you will hear is the voices. So it's basically the same thing that we're using at Eastern State Penn. So I did all this research to find it. I finally found this guy who was creating them. So he was building them one by one, but because he couldn't keep up with the demand, he found a company that would basically build them for him. Now it's not like it's mass produced because they're still built one by one. So I took the plunge and got one for us. So
I'm curious to see what it sounds like.
So it's supposed to.
Does it have echoes?
It's supposed to be. It's no echo, no nothing. Nothing.
Hear like an echo, like it's pinging off.
It's not supposed to be an echo, so it's supposed to be that you hear
Just
the.
like my app?
So that's why the PS218 whatever the spirit. So this attaches into the portal. So you attach it into it, and then you fine tune it so it'll go through the portal, and then you should be able to just hear the spirit voices without the background echo.
Yeah, you don't hear the static.
Right, you just hear the voices.
So you guys will have this equipment for tomorrow when you
No,
do
we
your-
won't have it. They're still building it. It takes 2 to 3 weeks just to build the box.
Well, there you go. Hey, look, you'll start off 2020
So
in
excited.
a new excited way.
But what I
Like-
do have for tomorrow is the thermal flare gun. So if let's say there's a spirit in that corner.
You heard that
shoot
right.
them.
Barb's going to be using a gun.
Yes.
Barb's in charge of a gun.
I know.
In charge of a gun.
It's fabulous. So I can hold it, and you might not see anything, but it would, do the image. So I'd be able to see, see it, the heat
If there was somebody
signature.
standing behind that wall, behind that door, you'd be able to see the figure
Right.
through that door. You'd be able to see like something like
Right.
The heat signature, yeah.
Right. Oh,
It
interesting.
goes off a temperature, just like what you see on TV.
Right.
I mean, this room could be ice. Let's say the room's like ice cold. It'll show up as blue, and you might see.
Oh
the
no!
red dot.
This
The one with the red dot?
this one is high tech. It shows you the different layers of temperature. So it's like red, green, blue. Oh yeah, no, we went high tech on this. I'm
Look at you
so
guys coming
excited.
up in the world. And,
So excited.
Somebody's got money.
Well, is there
So excited.
anything in conclusion to rope it all back in and wrap it all back in? Because we're coming to our grand finale right now.
It's going to be a hell of a night tomorrow night.
Yeah.
Take videos, take pictures, send them over to us. We can share them
Probably
with
gonna
our
be really
listeners and our
Yes.
followers on Facebook
How can
and
people
Instagram.
find you?
Paranormal Spirit Finders.net.
Oh, it's certainly not shameless. It's an important
Yeah.
one. Paranormal Spirit Finders
.net.
.net.
Also Facebook.
And also on Facebook, you'll find us.
Yeah.
And Leo, for those bounty hunters looking for you, how can they find you?
We will.
You know where I am.
And Rick
BlackthornDruidOrder.com.
and B.
I'm always here with James. Unfortunately, you can find me.
Well, and
I
this-
can't run. I can run, but I can't hide.
Let's see, what other things do I have to wrap up with real quick? Tarot deck is almost done. Very excited. The Major Arcana is completely finished.
Very good.
We are just fixing in some edits and tweaks, but they look so beautiful, and I can't wait for everybody to see
Yay.
them.
Have
So
a
cool.
release date or a tentative
No,
release date?
not even near that. We're going to submit everything before the end of the year, and then on the other side of 2020, see where all that lands. I'll have more information about like the deadline, the release dates, and all that stuff much later. But up till now, just keeping people updated on what's going on with that. And now we're working on the Minor Arcana instructional booklet. Very, very exciting. It's funny when you got to go back and write something like that, and then you really see everything come together like a Lego castle. It's really fun.
Come together.
So, yeah.
Right.
And if anyone is looking for me, you can find me at AusetGypsy.com or AusetGypsy on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. If you're in the Lehigh Valley, Easton area, come down to Auset Gypsy Metaphysical Emporium. It is... What is my address? Oh, my mind
Something
just
secondary.
shut down.
You're in. There you go.
The exact address. You're
15 South 2nd Street,
Wow.
Easton, Pennsylvania.
Northampton.
Right. I think that rum chai was a little bit stronger than I was anticipating. But I saw Nolan.
And
Gallows
we
Hills.
are broadcasting live
Right.
from the Gallows Hills Spirit Co.
Well, we're on location at
We
the
are on
Gallows
location.
Spirit Company.
South 12th in Allentown, PA.
Yeah.
Please come.
Yep.
What Leo said.
If you want to get bewitched, come down and have one of those rum chai drinks. They're
I
delicious.
prefer the espresso martini
Yeah, and
personally.
it was pretty strong. I mean, I'm a lightweight, so that one almost knocked me out.
I could probably down another 2, but I have to drive home, so I can't.
Well, if we do, we'll take pictures and you'll see the progress. But this is James Jacob
won't be
Peary
pretty.
and
B.
signing out. Thank you all for coming down
Thank
and
you.
participating.
Thank you for having us.
And until next time, happy holidays.
Happy holidays.
This is Auset